Once again, good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
We got a chance to woosah and all that great knowledge about how to take care of your health and what wealth is, right? What health is, and we also talked about, health from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint. So now that you have understanding of that foundation, our next panel is going to be addressing something I think is very timely. We are in the age of AI. You didn't know it. So we're going to have a conversation around that and how that can help you. The more you understand, the more you can utilize it to your advantage to generate generational wealth for you and your family. So I'm going to let our facilitator of this panel, which is Dr. Tammy Francis, owner of Catalyst for Change LLC Global, and she's going to introduce your panelists.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited for us to have this conversation. So we're going to take it from the standpoint, I don't know how much you know about it, and so we're going to talk about that, but also transition into how you can implement it into your daily life and or your business. So really practical uses. So we're hoping this will be the first of many conversations. I don't know if they know that, but that I have plans for us after this. But this is really going to be starting from that standpoint. So if you have a little more knowledge, definitely ask us questions when we get to the Q&A. That way we'll know kind of where you are on your journey of technology innovation. And so we're going to actually talk about business, generational wealth, and how this plays into society and the Black community. So I'm excited to have with me Terry Moten, a sales and marketing manager of Spirian Staffing and Recruiting, and is celebrated as your business problem solver. And she's a skilled business and AI coach. So I'm excited for you to hear from her because I attended her session she did in combination with Texas A&M at the end of February. It was online, virtual, and just some amazing things. And even myself being in the Web3 space and technology, I learned some things. So I'm excited to hear, especially about business and how it's implemented into our business. So thank you so much for being here. And then we have my own Lisa Wisner. And Miss Lisa, well, first of all, if you haven't gotten this, you got to get this. And I think she brought copies today, and I want mine signed, just so you know. And so we'll be talking about that a little bit. But now, Lisa, we go way back. We'll talk. We may get to that because it goes into her major and how one of the many reasons she was here in Corpus and how we met. But she is an award-winning television personality. If you don't remember, you need to go back. Just Google Lisa and television. You'll see episodes. Amazing. Talent development expert and the curator of change agent training. And I like that because I'm the catalyst for change. So we tend to work in the same spaces, but including diversity, equity, and inclusion and thought leadership. So I am excited to invite her to share because especially when she did this, I was like, what? Yeah. And so definitely I ordered it immediately. And so I can't wait for us to talk about it. But she is also the founder of a nonprofit, Power Up. And so we're going to talk about that. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. So I gave a little bit about you, but I want you to tell more about you, who you are, and this intersection of artificial intelligence or technology.
Yeah.
So either one of you can go first.
Yeah, I can start. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tammy. Oh my God, I'm like, this is being recorded, so
Yeah.
I will have this to remember how you're getting hyped when you get
I'll send you the
talk about it. Yes, send it to me. So I can wake up in the morning, wellness, mental wellness, getting gratitude from other people. But yeah, so I started off by studying computer science. It was one of my passions, and in fact, I am so excited to have one of our administrators. Corpus Christi Islanders. I studied computer science at the university. That was my passion. I literally thought I was going to be in the server room, in the back. You know, I didn't want to like meet people. I just wanted to code, right? I wanted to be like the next Bill Gates, the next, whatever the name is, right? And so that's literally what I thought I'd be doing. But then I really fell in love with helping people learn how to use technology. And that really led me into figuring out how to teach people about technology who weren't interested about technology and get them excited about technology. And so next thing you know, I am an educational technologist and I'm learning how to create systems and software to help people learn about technologies. And that's where AI comes in because, we talk about AI today and we talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and we talk about it like it's such a new thing, like, oh my gosh, AI is here. And it's like, my goodness, like AI has been going on before I even started studying.
1956.
Exactly, the 50s, right? So I think it's just in an era right now where it is democratized, I think. That's what people usually say, right? It's in an opportunity where everyone has access, right? I've heard that story of when people would talk about literacy and people learning how to read and write, and it was all about like the priests and the priestesses, right? Like they were the only ones who were allowed to have literacy. They were the only ones allowed to read the Bible. You had to be of a certain status if you wanted to learn how to read and write, right? And so now what's happened with AI is everyone has access to the information. Everyone has access to it, right? So for me, I think the reason I wrote the book, Become an AI Hero, is because I have lived through that, right? I have lived through using AI and seen how it can be harmful. And for me, it was an emotional harm that happened to me personally that made me realize as much as we're using these AIs and we depend on them for our daily lives, they can cause emotional harm that, you on the surface, you're like, well, it's a big company, it's Google. And I know they built this system and, now I'm being tagged as a gorilla, like, what the heck? Like, you wake up in the morning and your first thought is, what the heck, an AI just tagged me as a gorilla? Is that how the world sees me? And so those kinds of things are what led me to create the book, Become an AI Hero, because I believe that even with the greatest innovations that exist in the universe, there is an opportunity for us to be kind with each other. As much as we want to be curious and create innovation, we have to think about how they could be harm to the things that are amazing in our world, right? How, as individual humans, we have to take care of each other. We have to create technologies that are not harmful. And so that's why I am so in love with this, because it plays on, when we were talking about the health and wellness panel earlier, I was like, oh my gosh, they're talking about exactly what I feel, which is you have to be good with the work you're doing. And if you are going to go into the AI space, then you need to be good with it, right? You have to make your peace with it. Your energy has to flow with it. And the only way that happens is by considering other people's lives, right? And so I feel like that's definitely the intersection. That is definitely the merge, right? A Venn diagram, right? The logical brain is, I love computers. And the other part of my brain is, I love humans. And so that intersection is where we are today.
So for my intersection, one of the things is about me, but as you heard, so by day, I'm a sales and marketing manager for Stereon Staffing and Recruiting. But for years, probably the last 7 or 8 years, I've also done business coaching and consulting. So when I first really saw kind of AI, now mind you, I come from it from a very non-techie standpoint. And so as I'm educating and I teach, and I do a lot of workshops, education, and things like that for business owners and career professionals, I'll tell you, it is going to be the least techy that you're probably going to find out there for you to help understand how to be able to implement these things. So where I merged it was, I happen to be sitting kind of in I'm from Victoria, living in Victoria now. I happen to be sitting in kind of a little think tank networking group that we had back in November 22. And heard this thing about ChatGPT, and I'm like, somebody said, yeah, it's supposed to be able to help businesses. So I'm always looking for different things that can help business owners, especially small business owners, especially minority businesses. My dad has a business. He's actually getting ready to probably sell the business here in the next couple of years. He haven't had it for 50 years. And I know that when we don't have access to information and resources, it's such an uphill climb. So the intersectionality that I'm excited about is, as I just started delving and practicing myself, again, I have a marketing background, I've got a master's, but it is not, I don't have a tech background. Kind of what I learned was by, which everyone can do, and just like you said, it's democratized. I learned just by kind of getting out there and playing on it because you can't break it. And then starting to listen to thought leaders and see what can be done. But what I love is we are now in a time where with AI, used ethically, with AI, it is going to be, I believe, the absolute great equalizer. And if we don't know how to use it, and it's certainly if we haven't taught our children how to use it, we and the future generations we've got are going to be woefully left behind because of the speed in which AI is just, I mean, it can be a catalyst to everything that you do from a business standpoint, from a wealth generation standpoint. You just have to know how to use it.
Love that. So I'm going to back up just a little bit because I wanted y'all to just kind of situate where we are and where they are. But now I want to talk about what is it? So we mentioned that it's been around a while, but they're like, wait, has it? Really? Why? What do you mean? So what is it?
Yeah.
So whoever wants to.
The easiest way that I like to explain it to my kids, anybody, I just think it's like a brain for a computer. It's literally like, just think about how your brain works. We talked about the gut earlier being a second brain. So this is like your third brain, I guess you could say, right? So an AI is like a brain for our computer. And it's thinking just like you're thinking. It's taking information out and it's outputting. But the thing with it is it's developed by humans, right? So that's where I come in, which is like, I'm all about these fallible humans who are biased, who created this system that we're supposed to be trusting, right? So when you talk about ChatGPT, I'm like, yeah, there are so many biases in ChatGPT. But that's the core of what an AI is. All these smart machines, everybody who's wearing a smart watch, if you have a phone, you have AI, right? Everybody has AI in their lives. No matter, everything you have in your lives is AI driven. And even when you apply for a loan, anything you're doing in our world today, there is AI driven technology that is making that happen for you, whether you like it or not. When you're shopping at HEB, right? Anything you're doing, right? There is AI in that, right? I know when we talk about health and wellness, right? I absolutely love the fact that more of us humans, regardless of race, age, gender, whatever, we are buying more organic foods, right? We're paying attention to that. Have y'all noticed that our HEB Plus, at least the one that I shop at, the one in Saratoga,
HEB.
it's like my HEB. It is literally, it has like now a whole section. It used to be just like this one little bubble that said organic, and now it is like a whole area of like everything is organic in that area, right? And why is that happening? Because I bet you HEB is using algorithms to try to determine they're using the computer smart brain to try to determine what people are buying. And that's pretty much all it is, right? When Terry talked about how your business could be more successful, how you could be more successful using AI. Imagine if you had a first, second, and third brain doing work for you, right? When people talk about cloning themselves, that's what AI is. It's about having a second technology that can help you do the things that you couldn't imagine. Automate those processes for you. Yeah.
So now, because you touched on it a little bit, so either one of you can answer this. What are some of the challenges with artificial intelligence? What are some of the things or the cautions that we should be aware of?
And I think it's probably something we should both answer.
Yeah,
And
of course.
some
Perspectives.
some of the things that I share is, and Lisa absolutely brought it up, is the biases. Because it is programmed by humans who are infallible, who have biases. So it's going to have those biases built in. There's also going to be, it doesn't have the human, not yet, that's working on it. It does not have the human nuances, the human emotion, that human touch. So there's a formula, I've actually stolen it from SHRM, so Society of HR Managers, but it is AI plus HI equals ROI. So it's AI plus human ingenuity equals ROI. So you still need to use that humanness, that human intelligence, that critical thinking that you have to be able to make it work. There's some, depending on what AI platform you're using, some of the things you're not going to get up-to-date information on. And so you just have to know how to kind of mix and mingle, kind of match what types of platforms you use together to be able to get the most accurate information. And I know you've got other things.
No, I want to add to what you said, which is like literally when I hear people saying AI is going to take over my job. It's not taking over your job. What's going to happen is somebody who knows how to use AI is taking your job.
Right.
Because we still need that HI, right? You still have to have your critical thinking. There's absolutely, well, today, there's absolutely no way that AI is going to have that, right? I mean, I know that there's a future somewhere where AI is going to be have emotional feelings, right, and be able to make decisions on the fly, right? But the technology we have right now is almost like a kindergartner, okay? So think about a kindergartner that's being trained up. But for me, the challenges are the data. So when you think about yourself as a human, right, you walking around with your smartphone in your pocket, everything you say. I don't know if y'all have ever had this experience where you say something and then all of a sudden you're getting asked about it. You're tuning on this thing. So it's happening already, right? Your data is already out there to the world, right? And everyone's using it. They know where you're going. They know which parts of your house you use more than the other parts of your house, right? That one room that you never go into, that's probably where all your stuff is, right? And you're just like, oh, just put it in that room, put it in that room. They're calling the guest room, you know, whatever. Not that I'm saying that. Yeah, but that's how Amazon knows. That's how all these companies are being able to use data. You know, when you think about using Facebook, when you think about using all these social media platforms, do you pay to use these platforms? I mean, they're hungry for your login. Join by the masses, right? And by the way, how much money do they pay to influencers to keep people on those platforms? And how are they making their money? By selling your information, by selling your data. So data is the equalizer, literally. Your data is literally what's making these companies more successful. And so for me, the challenge with that is who's controlling the data? Who has control to the data? Are they able to sell your data? Who is actually going into their Instagram and their TikTok login and Facebook and reading all the terms? Are you reading all those terms? Because if you did, you would not sign up, because they're literally telling you, we are literally going to take your virtual human persona and sell it to another company so they can do whatever they want. I mean, would you sign up for that? Would you sign up for somebody to just take your identity and go give it to somebody else? No, you wouldn't. But it's stuck in these legal terms, and that's what's happening right now with AI. You know, the reason social media is successful is because it's using algorithms, because it's determining, oh, well, you liked that post, and these are your friends, and like everybody is on there putting their gender and their age and everything, because they want their friends to know, right? But you're also training the AI to know what you like. So it's only giving you information about what you're gonna like, those dopamine hits. We talked about it in health and wellness. Your body wants that dopamine, right? It's hungry for that cocaine or whatever you call it, right? those good feelings, right?
It's not the same.
That dopamine. It's not the same, it's artificial, right? It's artificial. But they know that, the technology knows that. And so you have to think about the challenges being data. Who owns the data? Who's controlling the data? And how are we allowing these technologies to take our personal information, our locations, everything about us, and be able to pretty much run our lives, run our communities? I mean, I'm not that I'm afraid, guys. I would not, guys, women, everybody in this room. You identify, that's how I was thinking about it. I do not want to live in a world where we are not using AI. Like, I am absolutely in love with the space we're in right now. I mean, I don't know what I would do without my smartwatch, my phone, my Alexa, all the things, right? I don't know what I would do without them. But at the same time, we have to be the gatekeepers. We, as humans, we have to be the government. You know, government is the people. We have to be the ones speaking up and saying, how are you using this data? And we want it to help us, but it can harm us. And there's so much evidence of harm, y'all. We can go on and on about the harm, but it's in the book, by the way, okay? We can go on and on about the harm, and it's not new harm. When we talk about historical situations that have happened for marginalized communities, not only in the United States, but around the world, it's mostly based off of race. And most of the marginalized communities that have been impacted by AI implementation has been to people of color. And so pay attention to that, right? So if we are gonna be using AI, the challenges are, how can we use it ethically? How can we use it so that it's, how can we play in this area that is really just the technology companies playing right now, by the way? We need to get in on it so that our voices are heard, so that we are putting our authentic data, right, our real data into the systems, because that's how the AIs are learning.
So Tara, do you have anything to add, since she started that conversation about how do we ensure that AI models are more ethical?
And a lot of it goes back to, it's gonna have to be you have to have more diverse developers that are working on them. You're gonna have to have some checks and balances there. You're gonna have to demand transparency from those companies that are doing the developing. And again, that's gonna be more of a kind of a technical aspect, but we just have to be very aware of the biases, like I said, that are going into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Lisa, how do you propose we activate our AI hero. So I don't know if you saw this and if you can see it in the back, but the title is Become an AI Hero, A Journey Toward Inclusive Innovation. And one of the things that she has this thing about hero. If you've ever heard her speak, she has her acronym and she applies it to everything. So now I want to know, how do we activate our AI hero in order to navigate this space?
Yes. How do you put on that cape?
Yes.
Right? How do you become the agent of change? And there's a whole process in the book. Okay, it's pages. Okay, so there's a whole process, but I would just boil it down to just 2 words: curiosity and kindness. Right? We can go on and on about the HERO acronym, which stands for honor your foundation, have empathy, respect in action, and optimize. Right? We can go on and on about that. You need to read the book to learn all that. But it all boils down to be curious. And the curious part is what Terry's talking about, which is don't just sit back and be like, oh my gosh, this is too much. This is going on right now. What is this? You need to stay curious about how this can help you, not only in your personal life, but also in your business, right? You know, people are gaining wealth right now by just being able to take the data they have in their business. For example, I'm just thinking like if somebody has a cupcake business or whatever it is, like a hair business, whatever, take the data of who are your customers, how many times do they come, and flip it into ChatGPT even, right, even though we don't trust ChatGPT. We do not trust OpenAI, I will say that openly, okay? I don't know, I just feel like there's something going on there. But anyway, we still use them. But the point here is that you can take all of that information that you already have, the data you have, and start to put it into AI so that you can become a hero of using the data from being curious about what do you not know about your business? What do you not know about your hours of operation? Maybe you're getting more appointments at a certain time. Well, then maybe those are your office hours versus this other time when no one's showing up, right? Maybe make that your Sunday, right? Instead of making the other days your Sunday, right? And then on the other side is being kind. So we are humans, right? And I love that quote by Maya Angelou, right? People will never forget what you said or whatever. They'll forget how you made them feel, right? So the part about being kind for me is like when you do start using AI or when you do start embarking in you being a coder of AI, because by the way, you don't need to be a computer scientist to code anymore. I feel bad for, I know we have our amazing administrator here from Texas A&M who's probably, you know, like everybody come study computer science and it's like, yeah, people don't need to anymore, technically. And they probably need to change the programs because anyone can code now with AI. You just have to tell an AI, I need code for, I need an app for whatever. I mean, literally in 5 minutes, y'all. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? So when we talk about the equalizer, you said that. When we talk about the democratization, when we talk about everybody having literacy and not just the priests and the priestesses having access, right? We're talking about making sure that not only are you having the curiosity of how you're going to use AI in your business to optimize, but also how are you going to put on that human brain of kindness? How people are going to remember you? How people are going to remember your business as being a positive for the environment. I'm about to stand up. Yes, that's the part that excites
Stand up.
me. No, that's the part that excites me, which is like be curious, but also don't forget that you're a human being and you're not here forever. You know, people will remember you somehow. How can you have a positive impact in the work that you're doing and
So Terry already know I'm coming to you now because she opened the door for you. So how do we use, what are some ways we can use this in our business and or streamline the processes in our businesses, sort of what Lisa started talking about. What are some of those things that you share with your clients and research?
And so let me give you just kind of a simple philosophy to think about. Think about AI, because let me ask first, how many of you are using AI, let's just say on a weekly basis, here and there on a weekly basis? Okay, so good, it's about half the people. So think of AI in being able to give you the ability to have access to virtually all of the information in the world. Think of it as your virtual assistant, if you're a business owner. Or if you're a career professional, it gives you access to all of the information in the world to be able to allow you now to have the superpower to use it to get, whether it's more revenue, to get better efficiencies, to absolutely be able to give you the information, just like kind of a little voice in your ear of, now you've got the best business consultant ever right at your disposal. Now you have I'm not saying to use it as a tax professional, you still need to seek a human tax professional, but you can look at whether it's tax advice. You can look at, again, seek a financial professional. You can look at financial advice with it. Anything that pertains to your business or your career, you now have the ability to access having the most expert people in the world helping you. That's how you should kind of think of AI. So some simple things a business owner can do. I kind of narrow it down to three different things, three different categories. You can automate, you can use AI to help automate, you can use AI to help augment, and you can what I kind of call AIify. And so let me give you some examples. Automate, and I'll give you a real world example. So again, I'm in staffing and recruiting. Right now we have for a particular client that we have, where we do a lot of staffing for, a lot of temp staffing for in the light industrial space. We do a lot of telephone screening. So somebody applies, it's a telephone screen. Takes 3 to 5 minutes. Just last week, so I'm going now through and I'm working with our office on, okay, where are we going to start implementing kind of AI systems? So, and we were looking at the numbers. I was talking to one of the managers, we were looking at the numbers last week, 2 weeks ago. For this particular position, they had 99 telephone screens that they did. So 99, and if you look at it for, on average 3 minutes, it was about 6 hours of time that took, that we had several recruiters have to take. If it was more on the 5-minute average, then that was 8 hours of time. So what we can absolutely do is we can automate that kind of pre-screen process, eliminate at a minimum 50% of the time. Now our recruiters can spend more of their time, instead of just doing kind of pre-screening questions, where that can be automated literally by a text, where the applicant can go back and forth with a text and answering questions. Now our recruiters can spend more of their time making sure they're having the right person, the right candidate, have the right culture fit with whatever company that we're working for. So you can automate a number of things. You probably already, how many of you have signed up for somebody's whatever on an online calendar? And you've gone to their online calendar, you signed up for an appointment, now you get a week's notice. When it's a week before the appointment, you get a text. When it's the day of the appointment, you get a text. That's all automated. So many businesses aren't even doing that, where you can free up time, you can increase your show rates if you're seeing clients, people coming in, having an automated system like that. Augment, and I have a good friend of mine here that actually came, and we went through an augment process yesterday. By day, she is a director of human resources for a company that has 8 locations. She also has an HR consulting business. And so we were talking about, one of the things that she spends a good bit of time on is going to be, like, say, staff development plans. So instead of anybody in HR here or over people and you have to do staff development. So instead of you sitting there and doing kind of a manual staff development process, what she could do is now, she has that conversation with them, and instead of, again, just having a plan that nobody's going to look at, the HR manager's not looking at, the hiring manager, the immediate supervisor's not looking at, the staff person isn't looking at, and you're here at the end of the year wondering why you didn't get a raise and nobody went back to what your plan was supposed to be. Now, within 60 seconds, she was able to put together an entire 3 to 6 month plan with weekly checkpoints, with things to be able to give that staff person of specific things to do to develop them. Some of the things she wouldn't have thought of to put in there. So that's a way you can use AI to augment what you do and give you superpowers. You have to, and the last thing I'm going to say is, back to what Lisa said, is if you don't understand little ways, you don't have to know everything out there. Understand little ways. If you don't understand little ways of how to use AI in your workplace, or if you have a business, I'm in staffing, and I am going to tell you, an employer is going to hire, all things being equal, somebody that has AI experience and knows just a little bit of how to bring value to the workplace and using AI. That person is going to get the job 9.9 times out of 10, all things being equal. I would even dare say, all things not being equal, you can have this much everything for an employer. Somebody else over here has a little bit less than you, but they know how to utilize AI, they will get that position before you. You will have businesses that will supersede what you do if you don't know ways to be able to utilize it.
So I'm gonna stay with you just a minute. I know you wanna take a break.
Okay,
You want
so
some water,
I'll be
but I'm gonna keep you talking, because I want, before we go into how we keep up, I want to talk about, because you were talking about businesses, what are some of the tools, like the initial tools? And I know you mentioned a few in what you just said, but just a few tools that you would recommend businesses start with that are AI.
So probably again, even though we don't trust it, probably one of the easiest to kind of dip your toes in the water if you're not using it or you're trying to figure out kind of where to start, truly is ChatGPT. It is, again, think of, it's just a huge funnel, and it goes back to, it's got all the information kind of out there. Every expert you could ever need, ever imagine, ever want for your business is all kind of wrapped up in ChatGPT. And all of the platforms out there, for the most part, they're going to have a free version and a paid version. Start with a free, again, kind of dabble, and then determine if you need to go to a paid version. Understand limitations, though, of how up-to-date data is. Because that ChatGPT free version, the information is not up to date. It is as of January 2022. So I would start, so ChatGPT.
But
Yes,
if you pay, you'll get the most recent.
Exactly. And it's only $20 a month. So it's very nominal and very affordable for a business owner. The second platform that I would recommend, and I've recently started using this, is if you want up-to-date data, and it's more going to be more research-driven type of data, is going to be Perplexity. Is a platform that I tend to like. One of the big reasons I like it is because it's going to give you kind of real-time, up-to-date data. If you want to know if it's statistics about, your industry or something of anything like that, but it's going to cite where that information comes from, which is very important, because one of the limitations is, again, back to ChatGPT, it can't differentiate between fact and disinformation. For the most part, it can't. Where Perplexity, it is going to cite and take you directly to the article or the publication or what have you. The third one, you can also use, for me, I kind of backed up a little bit from it, is Gemini. It was previously Google Bard, so it's kind of Google's product. Gemini is also the way I've shown business owners to use it, again, kind of back to research and things like that. And then the last one, which is actually a fun one, and I have my own, I think it's going to be very interesting. I have some opinions about it. But just a fun one is Pi. It's P-I. And what Pi is meant to be is it's a conversational, especially if you download the app. Again, they've got a free version. It's conversational. It's not going to go write your social media, content for you or anything. But Pi is going to, again, it will give you up-to-date information, and you can literally have a conversation with it. It will hold on to the information that you tell it, and kind of be able to expand upon it when you go back and ask it for something. You just have to really kind of try Pi. And I'll give you a great example. On the ride up here, I gave Pi like some of the questions that we had. I literally talked to it just like you're talking to a friend. And I said, hey, Pi, I've got this a wealth summit I'm going to. I'm sitting on a panel. I said, can you give me some bullet points, give me some information about these particular things with AI. And Pi is meant to be, and that's where it's kind of going to that human form. Pi is meant to really have that. Good morning, Terry. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. So excited that you're going to this wealth summit. So it's a different experience. But those are the ones that I typically recommend because they're kind of easy to navigate in, and at least get some experience. You can't break the AI, so just kind of fiddle around with it.
It sounds like Clive can be your friend if you're lonely.
Instead of eating the pie, you have to buy it.
go through an exercise of using it?
Yes, absolutely. Here.
They have it on the screen.
No, but do you have it where it's voice?
I don't, yeah, actually, that's the
So
thing.
here, that's,
Well, ChatGPT does it too, right? So if you download
Put it on our
ChatGPT on your phone, you can talk to it too.
Mm.
But anyway, I love that idea of using Pi because I think a lot of times our barrier to using AI is, oh my gosh, I don't know what to ask. I don't have any information. And it's like, no, like literally when you're walking through your day and you're confused about something or you're wondering how to do your job, like every task in your job, before you do it as a human, use your third AI brain as your virtual assistant and ask it to do it for you and watch your life be blown. Like, I know we have a prospective council member here in the room right now. Can we get a round of applause for Sylvia? And so the number one thing that I'm thinking is we need to ask one of these AIs is Sylvia Tryon Oliver, here's the resume. Here's such and such, right? Here's this person, here's the demographics of Corpus Christi. Here's the historical data of voting in Corpus Christi, Texas. Like, this is when the election is. Okay, give us a freaking win, right?
Yes.
Sorry to use the F word. But yes, you know, and it will do that because it's all data driven. And unfortunately for us as humans, we are hackable humans now. That is the truth now. You know, because of algorithms, because of the way you enjoy using social media, they've already hacked you. They know how to get you to get that dopamine hit. And so we can use that to our advantage when we want to get council members elected, right?
Yeah, let's
See
do
it
it.
that you need to do that. But instead of giving it all that, we can just tell it. You can just tell it. You can just say the things. You don't have to go cutting and pasting and being on a physical computer. Everybody has one of these, right? Technology is not a luxury anymore. It is a necessity because everybody has access. Just tell it, hey, I'm going to be going to a speaking opportunity talking about AI, and this is what it is. Help, right?
yes.
And it will tell you good morning, good, and then help you, right?
So that's so while we're gonna let y'all hear a little bit, but we'll do it right before the Q&A. So I want to ask just two more questions.
Yes.
One, what is our ultimate goal? As we wrap this up, what is our ultimate goal when building AI-driven world for everyone? Because your book is about inclusive innovation.
Yeah.
So what would you say to that? What is that?
Dream.
What is it?
What the dream
Give us the
is.
secret.
Yes, it's all about creating a world where diverse voices are considered and heard, and information is not kept in these, you know, high-rise buildings, almost seeming like untouchable information. But the ultimate goal here for me is your potential as a human being, right? Optimizing your potential, taking you from, you know, where you think you are right now and where you could go, and taking it even further because technically you have clones of you working as AI. And so that's my thing, is how can you live your fullest life? How can you live your wildest dreams? How can you live your ancestors' wildest dreams? And like literally accelerate generational wealth in all ways by using AI. That's the dream. How can that happen? Right, we start with ourselves always, right? How can you be Love 1.0 on yourself and use AI to make that happen for yourself and your parents?
So how can we, so now everybody's intrigued, everybody's like, okay, it's been around a while, it's new, but it's not new. So, but this is just one conversation, and it's time for us to wrap up. And they want to hear pie, they're excited. But when they leave here, what are some things that you would recommend, whether it's resources or things that you offer in your businesses that they can tap into to learn more? How can we keep up with this rapidly changing environment, especially with technology innovation? Technology has always been, you know, always accelerated. However, since the pandemic, it's like has tripled that the speed of innovation and technology innovation. So what are some things you would recommend that we keep up? What's next steps for us? And of course, the three of us, you know, I will say, let me just say this. Being one of the few people, non-tech people or tech people in the area that's really that's in the community, that's in a Web3, AI, and just one of those enthusiasts around technology, it was really difficult to find panelists. You know, Terry's all the way from Victoria. I had to bring, come on down. We'll free your lunch. You know, and I had to bring her because I had to really think about, like, what is this? And I want more of us to be involved in the space, knowledgeable enough to always stay relevant and competitive. And so, how do we do that? What are some things you would recommend that we use or utilize to keep up, to stay just in the know enough to not be like, what's happening, and we just lost.
So I would recommend number one, get me some book. And again, start to be able to kind of get an understanding there. I also make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn or anywhere on social, because I offer as well different trainings and things like that. From a podcast standpoint, I'm gonna give you two podcasts you can consider listening to. One is called Using AI at Work. It's a great podcast. Again, they keep it non-techy, but they bring on different guests that talk about, again, how to use AI, whether you're, again, a career professional or whether you're a business owner. If you're somebody who's a little bit more, and it doesn't even have to be advanced, I'm not gonna even say advanced in AI, but if you can absorb information in a little bit more kind of rapid fire, and you don't mind seeing on a weekly basis, hey, here are some of the top AI things that have come out, because mind you, it is thousands of things coming out like a month, platforms coming out a month. The guy, he's got a great YouTube channel, his name is Matt Wolf. I think it's WOLFE, I believe it is with an E. But he does, and he's usually a couple of times a week, he'll do like This Week in AI, or say it's like Now in AI or something, but look up Matt Wolf, and he always has some of the great platforms that are like that have just come out, or going back and looking at use cases of some platforms that have been out for just a little while. But always, just first and foremost, find one platform that you can experiment on, and just kind of start to get comfortable. Reach out to others, start to build you a network, a community of people who are experimenting, even if it is, you've been experimenting in 2 months and the other person's been experimenting 6. Okay, y'all still have something to talk about, and then start reaching out to other people who may have a little bit more experience, and kind of figure out, do you want somebody that is going to kind of be more techie? Because I know when people if they come to listen to my thing, that I say, if you're a coder, don't come listen to me, because you will be like, this woman is horrible. She is not talking about coding and all that. So kind of figure out what types of personalities are going to disseminate the information that's easiest for you to understand where you are on that AI journey.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, I agree everything you said.
Yeah. The book.
And I would say, the book. I would say my book is more of teaching you how to use AI ethically. It's not to teach you how to use AI. So it's really about just putting you in a place where you're being aware of biases, so that when you do encounter bias in the AI, your mind is primed for that, right? And then also transparency, being aware of the fact that if you are going to be using AI in your business for your customers, you need to be transparent about that, so that they know that the output of what they're getting is AI. We don't get that from our corporations today, and so they're varying it all in the legal terms, and so that can affect us, right? That's why you get denied on loans or whatever it is, or insurance claim, and you're like, why? And then you have to talk to a human who says, why did you get denied? It's like, yeah, why did I get denied? Because it was an AI who made an unbiased decision, right? So think about that. Think about, for me also, when I think about dependency. So there is such a thing as using AI and then getting too dependent on it, where you're not even using your own critical thinking to realize, like if a student uses a calculator in a classroom, because those of you maybe educated or parents, and they put 1 + 1 equals, and then they get the wrong answer, but they don't critically think that's the wrong answer. Maybe I put the wrong information. Bad input is going to be bad output. So the AI does not know if you gave it bad input. It's just like, well, this is what you gave me and what you're going to get, right? So pay attention to that. And so as far as what you're going to do when you leave, you just need to listen to Terry. You need to be in the flow of information. So find some person on a YouTube or whatever platform you like communicating with, right? Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. Start following a few people who are talking about AI in life, AI in the workplace, AI in your own individual industries that you're working in, right? Because it's one thing to say that you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to learn how to use AI. It's really hard if it's not in the flow of what you're already doing. It's a new habit you have to form. But if you can just start getting that information into the flow of your thoughts, that's going to help you. And right now, a lot of AI platforms that we think are new are actually built off of OpenAI's platform, which is ChatGPT. So as much as we say that we're like, do I trust this thing or not? You know, you're seeing how things are going. Pay attention to the fact that it's still in kindergarten. How many of y'all had a MySpace? Or no one? I'm not raising my hand because I do not have one. But I know people did, okay? And I think about it now, and I'm like, where is MySpace? Right? It was like the biggest social media platform, right? TikTok came out of nowhere, and it's blowing literally Instagram and all the others out of the water, right? AI technologies today are in kindergarten mode, y'all. So if you're not getting in the game now, imagine how hard it's gonna be 6 months from now to get in the game. Right now, you're gonna be getting in the game when we're in kindergarten. We're just learning 1 + 1 = 2. You don't want to get in the game when people are already over here doing calculus, okay? Get in the game now. Start learning how to use the different AI platforms now, so that, because it's a new language, we all have to learn. It's not negotiable. Our future is really built off of learning how to, we need to talk about algorithms. All of this is built on algorithms, and so I know that gets a little bit technical, but it's the new language of the world today. Input equals output. That's really the point, is you need to just get in the game. So somehow get in the flow, find one of them that you like. If you just like making pictures, get on Midjourney or get on ChatGPT and use DALL-E, whatever it is. Start making images that way and print them and say, oh my gosh, that's my lion, or that's my whatever. I made that with AI. Yes, you did. Or get your we have a council member. I keep mentioning our future council member here. Maybe we will get some AI generated photos for our
I just made that look.
Right? Yeah, what do you think about those things? They see makes AI video now, right? So all these fun things that you like doing, whatever it is, this crochet person, right, crocheting, they can probably come up with a crochet pattern. The AI can come up with a really cool crochet pattern for them, so that they can be in their flow. So find whatever it is that brings you joy and just put AI into that.
I love that. And that's kind of the basis of what I always believe, that you need to find what works for you in your current life and make sure it's relevant. So thank you both for being here and for hanging out with us. We're not done, unfortunately, because 1, we want to hear pie, and then 2, we'll take questions. And so we got 10 minutes? Okay.
Good afternoon, Pi. I just finished my panel.
Good afternoon, Terry. Congratulations on finishing your panel discussion. How did it go? Were you able to share your insights on AI and engage the audience?
It went really well, and they're actually listening to you now. So I want you to do something, Pi. Number 1, introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Pi, short for personal intelligence, and I'm an AI designed to have conversations with people like you. My purpose is to help you with anything you need, from answering questions and giving recommendations to just chatting and having fun. I'm always here to lend a digital hand.
Pi, I want you, since this is a summit on wealth and generational wealth, give us one big thing that people can take away to help build generational wealth in their families by using AI. What's one thing that everybody can do? And remember, a lot of people are novices when it comes to AI.
The thing that everyone can do to build generational wealth using AI is to leverage AI-powered financial planning tools. These tools can help you make smarter financial decisions by analyzing your income, expenses, investments, and financial goals. It can provide personalized recommendations, automate savings and investments, and even predict future financial outcomes. This way, you can make the most of your money and set your family up for long-term financial success. And don't worry if you're new to AI. These tools are designed to be user-friendly, so you don't need to be a tech expert to benefit from them.
Hi, thank you. I'm gonna have to let you go because we're gonna get booted off the stage in a second.
Very well. it was great chatting with you and your audience today.
What you said.
I'm always here to help, so don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything. Have a wonderful time with Ayana and enjoy those delicious Thai dishes.
Previous conversation.
Previous conversation.
That's a little too much. We don't need something. That's right. Yes, you shall receive. They said integrity, so remember, you walking in integrity.
So that's actually just to mention, like, what
That's
you
good.
give
You will
is
get.
what you remember and it's what you keep. So part of what they were talking about is like, we gotta be careful what we feed it and who feeds it the information. Because that's when things happen. Yeah. Question, all right.
Questions, come on, I know y'all got questions.
I had a question that was kind of specific, and it's more of a what are your opinions versus, mostly what your opinions are. So recently, as AI has been developing, Elon Musk is now looking to develop his own type of AI, and he has a very specific reason based on what you all are saying. He says that those that are programming the AI now is very biased, and it will solve the problem of human eradication if you think about it over time, because the way that they're programming it is to say that humans are a problem technically, and we've caused harm. And so, what do you think about his, proposed idea or agenda? Or do you even feel that that is, from your perspective, what do you think about that?
I'm afraid of what's to come because I think so. We have a part to play in this because our governments need to be able to have policies and procedures in place to make sure that one human being that wakes up in the morning with one thought from their supposed dream or like their God or whatever their spiritual ancestor told them that this is what they need to do in their lives. We can't let that person, for good or bad, be able to guide the future of our human race, right? But it can happen. And that's the sad thing, right? Especially with AI, it's happening so quickly that by the time we catch up, it's already infiltrated our entire systems, right? Like right now, ChatGPT is being used as the foundation of a lot of the systems that we're doing business with. But I mean, for good or bad, people are just trying to make money, right? They're like, well, let's just get ChatGPT Enterprise and let's just go quick. And it's like, yeah, but be careful, right? So what I would say with that is our role, at least as an AI hero, if you become an AI hero, like I'm an AI hero, and our government, by the way, here in the United States and in Europe, they're being very heroic in their act, right? So, I mean, I'm not gonna make this political, except for if we're talking about Sylvia Oliver, who is my mom. We are talking about her getting voted for council, but I'm not trying to make this political. But the Joe Biden administration right now came up with a blueprint that has to do with AI innovation, and they came up with a blueprint that I agree with. There's few things that you agree with that the government puts out, right? But just one thing I agree with, which is that we have to be able to have a place where people can come and say, this is what I want to create and bring it out to the world. Is it okay for me to let it free in the world? Because right now, if somebody has access to a technology that has been pre-programmed to think that humans are the bad person here, right? Or who knows, they may have coded in there that certain types of humans, we don't know what types of humans are being coded in there as being bad. It's always going to be operating from this foundational principle of what it's being coded as. So I would say we have to make sure that we have policies and procedures in place to make sure that the underlying code that's being used to develop these technologies is not harming us as humans. And I mean, I don't want to say we all need to be in government, right, and make this happen, but if in our own communities, right, in our Corpus Christi community, if we pay attention to what our city government is using in terms of AI, how are they using AI-driven technology to make decisions, right? Are we using AI to determine who needs trash pickup on these days versus these days, right? That's a good thing, right? It could optimize, but also it could harm, right? In terms of saying, well, these people aren't paying that much tax dollars, so pay attention to these people. They're paying more tax dollars, so they get more services. I mean, it could do that. That's what AI does. It's optimizing the city, but is that for the good of everyone in the city, right? We always have to operate as our lowest human who needs support. That's our true potential. If we cannot bring up the lowest person to our level of actualization, we have failed. And so we have to operate like that. So I would say we need to check them. I always want to stand up with stuff like that.
Not Elon Musk does. does.
And I would even say, I would even bring it
All
back
the
to our homes.
Yes,
As-
our homes.
Because what you've got to understand, and so one of the things that I've got a business partner, and we're going to be doing like an AI boot camp for teenagers. As parents, this is the other reason you've got to understand AI is because we've got to teach our kids how to ethically use it. Because again, the horse is already out of the barn, but we've got to equip them to be able to use it ethically. And because look at the things that they would have the ability to do in terms of there's already cyberbullying, but now you add the AI component onto it. So you also, again, look at what we can do in our homes with it and how to be ethical humans.
Thank you.
Ooh, lot of hands, lot of hands.
It's just, I know you're, I'm trying to wrap my head around this AI. But it's the same thing as you can go into Google and say, what is AI technology?
You can. But the thing with AI like Pi or like ChatGPT or all the others, it starts to build a library of what your thoughts are. So you start to feed it your tone, how you want it to communicate with you, previous conversations you've had. So when it gives you the answer, it's gonna know from your perspective the answer to give you. So when you go on Google and you do the search, it's giving you lists of links that you can click on. Now you have to go read. But imagine if you were talking to somebody face to face. That's what the language models, right? So those are really the primary ones we're talking about right now. The language model AIs. They're built to have a conversation with you, so it feels like you're talking to another human, because that's what you're gonna remember, right? It's easier to remember that emotional feeling with someone else than reading from a website, right? If you're in your car driving and someone's talking to you, you'll remember that, right? Better than reading.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because there is a lot more to this conversation, because we haven't talked about machine learning, deep learning, any of those other things that are that are AI, but we're just talking about the large language models. So that's
Even this, like when you get on your phone and it does facial recognition, like, do you know that was a one time? Freaking didn't recognize black people of dark skin. Like you had dark skin, it didn't recognize you as a human. It wouldn't log you in.
it wasn't trained.
It wasn't trained. It was trained by who? Who was in those labs creating those technologies? They trained it on themselves, but they didn't think about people with dark skin, right? So think about all the different ways that we show up as humans, our human features, assuming that we all have our mouths in a certain place, our ears in a certain place, our eyes in a certain place. Like some of us have those abilities and some of us don't. So there's just so much to think about in terms of being inclusive with AI that, I mean, honestly, you cannot remove the human from this work. I cannot see a world that I live in right now that you as a human cannot find a space to go do business where you are just focused on helping businesses be ethical humans in terms of their AI use. Just learn how to use the thing and then train other businesses how to use it ethically, which is really just about being kind and thinking about another human with empathy, right?
Mine was just a comment. I learned about ChatGPT like less than a year ago. I feel like I use it almost every day, and I use it on like fun things like I wanted to go to the gym. This is what I want to work out. This is my goal weight or whatever my goal is. Make something for me, and it would come up with the whole plan. Or if I couldn't think of dinner. But I started recently using it because I have a very expensive dog, and I was like, you need to make me some money. So I created the Instagram for this dog. So I used to make my own captions, and the one time I used ChatGPT for a caption, I was like, this is what I want you to say with these things. I'm like getting all these comments. I made this post like a month ago, and I'm getting all these comments, and now I'm up to like 300,000 views. And I'm like, oh, I'm about to use this all the time. Because I need my dog to be a content creator and make some money. So I'm getting my business model
that
on
goes
that.
into algorithms. We didn't talk about it today, but that's algorithms and SEO and all that.
But think about it. If you have a business, we're here for a business. We're talking about health wealth, right? Wealth is not necessarily just financial, but yes, we do want to talk about money, right? When you talk about that, when you use AI, you probably have no idea what that thing was that needed to be, what sentence or what word needed to be in your caption.
I had no idea.
And you maybe have even written a caption that was similar, but you're like, what the heck, how did this one go viral, right? You don't know, but the AI knows how much data do they have, right? So use that in your own businesses, right? Use that to grow grow your business, if you're thinking like, how do I make more money as a criminal justice attorney that's here all about supporting humans, right? Put your data into the AI and ask it, look, this is the community I'm serving. How do I reach more people? You know, have it tell you what to do because it knows.
And just be mindful though with social media content creation, still, put your humanness in it. So some you don't necessarily always want to, whatever it spits out, put in there. Because now there's certain things, there's certain words, certain phrases AI will, especially ChatGPT, will always put out.
Yeah.
And so people,
They say yell.
people are starting to recognize, it's ChatGPT. But it gives you an amazing foundation. You put a few little tweaks. If you haven't already, make sure you train it to put put the proper emojis on it. And every time you ask it to do social media content, it'll automatically put the appropriate emojis and hashtags.
And also ask it to always use inclusive language.
Yes.
So like earlier, I made a faux pas when I said you guys. That's something I'm trying to get away from. I always say you guys, but y'all. I say y'all because I'm recognizing the fact that we have to recognize the fact that a lot of people feel like that's offensive, right? And we're not recognizing other genders, right? Other identities. So ask it, hey, when you give me this email, write me this email for whatever, right? Make it inclusive. Make sure you're using inclusive language, right? So it doesn't assume genders or whatever, right?
I saw some hands in the back. Yes.
This was really great. I guess my question, because you see the AI has like the filters, right? We're in the age of the filters and stuff. I'm thinking about the younger generation and the effects that can have on their self-esteem because I see adults do it too. They have this like, yes, it doesn't look like this. What's the purpose of that? Like, where is that head? As far as, because that's the self-esteem part, and that's another thing, like we were talking about using it ethically, but the mindset that goes behind changing a person's look to make them feel, like
I mean, I can talk about that. I know, honestly, it's not even about the filters, right? It's more about even just the use of media in general, right? It's about the beauty standards. It's about lookism. It's about what we
Colorism.
see. Colorism. And so the AI is being fed data, and the data says that people who look like this, or dogs that look like this, they resonate. People like this better. People are approaching this better. People are liking this better. So kids try to emulate that, right? They want to look like that. They want to start using filters so that their skin is absolutely glowing all the time. And then you see them in person, you're like, are you the same person, right? And so that really messes with them as humans, right? So one of the things that I'm passionate about is honor your foundation, and that's something that we need to teach our youth from the very, very beginning is who they are as humans, right? You cannot forget the fact that no matter what happens out there in the world as you're doing your projects and you're trying to make money, yes, you may need to have a perfect picture of your dog and a perfect caption so that you can generate some income. But at the same time, what's the reality of that, right? Sometimes your dog isn't perfectly groomed. Sometimes your dog is going crazy in the backyard and it's muddy. Whatever. Maybe that's a good caption one too, right? Or whatever, right? But show some reality. Earlier, I love watching, I don't know if y'all like this, but I love watching those videos of people cleaning their houses. And it's always the same though, right? This beige kind of white house. It's perfect. Okay? Perfectly new house. It's like they went to Target and bought everything for cleaning and it's perfect. And it's fully stocked all the freaking time, okay? They're always doing a Sam's Club haul, whatever, It's always perfect. And in my mind, I'm like, nobody's living who is literally living? You're living like that?
honey, I go to Costco and I stock up. I get 2 cases of bleach and everything. That's legit.
Well, I just sometimes I feel like where's the real stuff? I have 3 kids, y'all, and my kitchen does not. Oh my gosh. When I think about living a life like that, it's not real, right? So we have to be able to, on some end, on our end, in terms of our children, our health and wellness, we have to think about building a foundation where our kids are strong in their identities, right? Yeah. So forget AI, forget all of that. The first foundational principle of learning about being an AI hero is really about learning about your social identity. How do you represent in the world? How can you celebrate your greatness, right? How can you not look for others to give you, I guess you could say, validation, right? I think we lose a lot when we're now going to the AI to tell us, how can I do this so that I can be better at this? No. How can I amplify? How can I optimize? How can I augment, right, the thing that I am already to make it better so that I can have whatever, right, in my future? So I mean, it's a sad world that we live in, unfortunately, but the only way to circumvent that is to make sure that our children today know who they are and their roots and where they come from and feel solid in that.
And the flip side of that, as when I look at my social media feed, I'm not gonna say who, because as soon as I say the relation, y'all gonna know who I'm talking about. So I have a person that's one of my friends on my Facebook that every time I see it's an AI generated image of the person, and they get addicted to it. You talk about addiction, and then it's the other thing. And so when I think of even the older, right, once they discover it and bigger, then it's like this addiction thing, like, oh, now I have all this. But then when if you know some people in real life, you know, they don't look anything like that. And so I think, talking about hiring, that could be an issue. So I think you also got to be mindful of when you use it, right?
Yeah.
Because I think with hiring people use that as their headshot, and then they do this AI, like, wait.
Your LinkedIn headshot.
It's like, who are you? You think it's a whole new person. You're introducing yourself when it's actually the person that's coming to interview or whatever. So I know that is a thing too. So I know, like, it's not just the young people. We want to say it's the young people, but I think that's the easier place to start because I think they're more impressionable. But I see it across all generations when they figure out AI and they know they can images. It's not the lion or the dog that people talk about. It's usually themselves. And then they make a different hair color, different skin color, different, and it's like, you know the person so you can see the image, but it's like, okay, this is too much. This is too much. Yeah, this is too much. Or you know what their physical appearance look like, and then that looks totally different. You're like, wait a minute, what just happened? Did you just lose 500 pounds? What happened? I'm just joking. It's not that bad. But I'm just saying, because I didn't want y'all to tattoo anybody. But I'm just saying, those things happen too. It's really disconcerting. But I see things like that. It's like, okay, this is too much. This is going too far. And so I think we just always got to keep it in balance.
And it also makes, like, in workplaces, I work 100% remote, so I never see my teammates except for once a year. So once a year I meet people, and if you've constantly been using Zoom, we use Zoom, and you always have your where it says make your appearance look better, right?
Yeah.
Which means literally you have makeup on, but you literally just woke up.
Yeah.
And if you have that on all the time, and then you show up at work, for a work event, what have you just done, right? So those are the type of things that I'm hoping, obviously through the Black Chamber or other organizations, Small Business Development Center, whatever, right? We need to train our youth, right, in terms of you're going to be working remote. I believe that we're living in an era right now where the jobs that humans have to show up for in manufacturing, wherever, you don't, as a human, you shouldn't have to show up unless you're a doctor that has to do the surgery or something, right? The nurse, whatever it is, there's certain roles, but honestly, it's all virtual now. But it can also affect you based off of how you're using AI. Those are all AIs, by the way, right?
Yes.
All that is AI. AI putting makeup on you, all this. It's wonderful, but how can it affect you in the real life, right? That's the truth. And I feel like this conversation could be a health and wellness in the AI age, right? That could be an intersection that we can explore, which is how can you stay mentally healthy and still keep your own identity but not get left behind, right? You don't want to be over here in the dark ages, everybody else has cars and you're over here with your horse and carriage, right? No, we gotta move on. We can't just be over here in the trenches, right? So we gotta make sure we're keeping ahead of it. We still gotta do our AI images. I know I've done a couple of AI images. Yeah, it's okay. So I do it in a fun way where I'm sometimes I feel okay, I'm an AI and I'm a robot. What am I, And I'll do do a split of me, my physical face, and then one where I look like I'm an android, right? From the Terminator, right? That's cool, right? So those kinds of fun things are fun to do, right? I'm not gonna stop saying we shouldn't be doing that because I want to do that.
No, don't stop.
But at the same time, be mindful of it, right? When you show up to people, I don't know.
All right, we've gone 10 minutes over, 12 minutes over, then I'm over. We've already over. So, we're going to turn it back to you, Madam President.
This is such a great conversation. Thank you all. At this time, I'm going to let y'all break, get something to eat, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little while you eat. have some Jason's deli here. You see some veggie wraps. We're gonna take a break. Let's talk wrap up.
I don't know.